Well, hello world, welcome to Raccoon Point Studios. I'm Sean Bombs. This is the AVM where we talk about audio, video, and music production. Today in the studio we have Catalinbread Softfocus Reverb. It is inspired by the FX40 patch taken out of the Yamaha FX500 half rack unit. And I have Yamaha's SPX 990 unit, and I have that racked up in the control room. I use it when I'm mixing, or sometimes I'll use it to track through, and it's a cool unit. So I imagine the FX500, I've never got a chance to play with that one, but I imagine that's a pretty cool unit if Slow Dive was using it. It's pretty cool that a guitar effects company is coming out with pedals that are inspired by these earlier 90s bands. So today we're going to go through the sounds on this thing. It has 5 knobs. I'll tell you what they do, and then we're going to take it and go through the big muff pedal to see what it sounds like going into fuzz. Maybe I'll do it going after the fuzz to see what that sounds like. And then I'm going to run it through the space echo. I think that'll get us closer to that sound of Slow Dive. You know, if that's what you're really looking for, I'm sure that's what some people are looking for. I know most of us are looking for our own thing to do. And after that, I'm going to throw some drum machines through it, some synthesizer, bass, all that stuff, and build a little track with it, and so you can hear what it can do, and maybe it'll inspire you to get one or to use the pedals you already have to try to get that sound. So the intro that I was just playing was everything all the way up and fully wet. I would probably use it like that. I would probably use it just for that because I think that's beautiful. This volume knob can act like a boost, so if I turn the mix down, you won't have any of these effects, but you can use this volume to push the front end of your amp. Without it, with it again, that's pretty wild. So you're getting a little boost there. I imagine as the sun hits, probably might have used that sound. And their overdrive was very, very weird. It wasn't ever like a regular overdrive sound. So anyway, we have the mix knob that's going to bring in the effect. So at a quarter, so it's almost like a freeze delay. Freeze reverb. So it just doesn't last as long as a freeze, but it just kind of like stays forever, obviously with the verb all the way up. Here's halfway. And then 3/4, so you can if you go 3/4 of the way up, you can still hear your first picking, your original guitar sound, but the reverb's going to be way over top of it. And then all the way up, like I showed you already. It's beautiful. So let's me turn all the knobs down except for the mix and the volume. I'm going to leave the volume at halfway, or noon, and I'm going to leave the mix all the way up so we can kind of hear what these 3 top knobs are doing. So you hear right away, that's like a gated reverb. So that could be useful for certain things. You can almost get like a My Bloody Valentine thing happening where they would just have those weird droney things happening. And that's what it sounded like to me when I listened to those records, that gated reverb type of sound where you can't tell what's the beginning of the actual guitar tone and what's the effect. So, and I like that kind of stuff. So let's try the Symphony. You can hear that octave up top. Alright, so let's try the mod, which is modulation. It's like a fast sine wave type of thing, and it's like a chorus slash vibrato thing happening. I mean, I know they're in the same family, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. All right, and then I'm gonna put this back down and we're just gonna listen to the reverb. Right? Like I said. Halfway. Now, I think when you throw in the Symphony and the mod all the way up, it actually extends that reverb, it feels like. So let's see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Don't tell my wife, but I'm usually right. So these all kind of interact with each other in a way. So let's turn it at noon. It's okay. I mean, it's, you know, you could have a subtle reverb if you wanted a subtle reverb. So you could, it's almost, I don't know, it's warm. It's a warm sounding. It's kind of lexiconish the way it kind of hugs your signal if you mix it in just right. It doesn't sound like it's separate. Now some reverbs just sound like they don't really go with your guitar sound. They kind of are a separate entity in some way. This thing kind of hugs your original guitar tone and says, hey, let's go on a ride together, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna put the mod all the way up and see how that affects the reverb tail. I'm gonna put the reverb all the way up too. And then I'm gonna bring the mod back down. So that's amazing how they interact with each other like that. If you want the long reverb, you have to have that mod up. And if you want it even longer, you have to have that Symphony all the way up. And then, like I was saying before, can boost your signal into your amp and get some kind of overdrive from this thing. Tiny piece of sun hit as the sun hits. I don't want to get, I'm not monetized anyway, but I don't want the video to get down. I don't know what's going on with YouTube's copyrights. This pedal, for me, can get a lot of different uses out of it. So it can be subtle and it can be big. I prefer it with the knobs all the way up. So why don't we see what it sounds like in this setting with the big muff? Alright, so let's go back to clean sound. I'm going to play something with the Space Echo, Catalinbread going into it. Alright, now with the mix knob all the way up. And just for the new people that are getting into effects, what I was just playing there, just to show you how simple that was, but how epic it can sound. So all that echo and delays, and it all can help morph things into each other. And you don't have to play a lot of notes. You're more listening for the texture that comes out of playing into the pedal, coupled with your amplifier and everything else. Less is more when I am using that many of effects. I'm trying to find a voice in all of that, and either it's going to be pretty or it's going to be pretty and then broken. It's kind of what I go for. I like pretty broken. All right, so now we're going to try the big muff in front of the Catalinbread instead of after it, and we'll see what that sounds like. I'm going to do it everything wet on the Catalinbread and just play kind of like swells into it. Alright, so now let's try that with the reverb dialed all the way back for that gated reverb sound. Alright, so next we're going to build a song and see what happens with a drum machine through this, synthesizer, bass, maybe even vocals. We'll see what happens. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.